Hi, my name is Kenya Faya, and with us here today on the Empower 305 podcast is District 4 Commissioner Manolo Reyes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think a lot of us are intrigued to know what actually got you into pursuing career in politics. Because we were talking a little before we started with the podcast that you were a teacher. And there's a trajectory as to what led you into politics. Talk to me about it.
Well, people remember me as a teacher, but I was a teacher by accident.
Really?
That's right. I am an economist. When I obtained my master's in economics from the University of Florida, my first job was in the city of Miami. And most of the departments, they were at City Hall. Now, with District 1 has its office, management and budget, had their offices there. And I started working there. And after that, I was the economist for the Overtown Park Western Development Project. We tried very hard to redevelop Overtown and also Park West. In order to do that, it took some political courage. What we proposed came before the City Commission. The commissioners that didn't have the political will or the courage to take the actions that they wanted to do. And right then and there, I decided that I wanted to run for office and bring my ideas in. And I ran, that was 1985. I ran, and it was citywide at the time. Then I started my own business. I had my own consultant firm. I came back to politics. I started working in the school system.
Right.
As also in the budget department. I was in charge of all revenues, and then I was the executive director of the performance improvement department. 2008, when the recession came in, and my department was eliminated. So human resources asked me to just stay around, but let's get you into school so you can start teaching. Started teaching algebra. The thing is that I fell in love with teaching. I mean, it is amazing.
It's
and how
incredible.
can you change a young lady or a young boy life? I had great experience, and then I tried again. I tried 7 times.
Oh, wow.
You might think that I am persevering. Yes, I am persevering.
Needless to say.
I don't quit. And that's what also
That's good.
I used to, when I talk to my students, and every time that I was lecturing, that's one thing that I told them. You follow your dreams and don't quit.
For District 4, in the aspect of the residents, what are the challenges you think that the residents in your district are faced with, and how are you able to remedy those challenges?
District 4, all the parks were not in a state that they should be. Streets were full of potholes and bumps. The sidewalks, you see, the first thing that I did when I got elected, I started a sidewalk repair program. And I'm a firm believer that when you are elected, you are expected to serve and serve the needs of the people that elect you.
100%.
I also was very concerned about the parks, and I started working towards remodeling and making the parks once again attractive to the residents, and that they would fulfill the need of the residents. For example, we have this park in Shenandoah, heavily used park, and they were having problems all the time with the pool and then there was, since I remember, there was always a plan. That's what it is. Planning. A plan for the total reconstruction of the park. So the pool is completed now, and new art, and I would say it's a state-of-the-art park, and that is, one of the projects that I had. And also there were other parks that were rebuilt and new parks. Bay of Pigs is located on 56th Avenue and 3rd Street Southwest. It's a small triangular park.
Oh, that's the triangle park,
That's
correct?
right.
Yes.
It is a small triangle, but it was embarrassing, particularly for the Cubans. Cubans being the ones that were responsible for that park. That park was totally abandoned.
So you revitalized
No,
a lot.
that's a brand new park, and besides that, we are also placing a monument. You see what happened there, with the history and everything. And they're going to have a monument because this is one of the best, the most important actions that the Cubans took against the communist dictatorship in Cuba, and as such, it deserves that. Anything that is named Bay of Pigs deserves the utmost respect.
I learned something about you today that I didn't know. You followed in your father's footsteps,
Yes.
correct? I didn't know that. I learned that today.
Yes. My father and my grandfather were public servants. My grandfather fought in the Cuban Independence War, in the two major wars, the 10-year-old war and the 5-year, and the Independence War. And my father was mayor of the city that we lived in.
I know you're heavily involved with the community. You talked about the beautification of the parks, how you've revitalized.
Streets.
Absolutely. I know you're doing all that. And I know you're huge on community events. I've been to a couple of yours, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you want to expand and continue with the beautification process. But I also want to ask you, I know you sit on you're the chairman for DDA.
Oh, yes.
Talk to me about some of those challenges that you've faced.
But it was quite a challenge. When I first got appointed, I had a set vision of what I wanted for downtown Miami without me being appointed before that. I am proud to say that 2 years ago, there was a different downtown than what we have now.
I see there's a couple of things underway in downtown. I know
Yes.
that Flagler,
that was totally stagnant. And that was a project that was in the making for years and years. And we did what had to be done. With the first thing that we tackled was the homeless. That area in First Street, it was an encampment. And I'm very proud that now that when I drive around downtown, I see people walking, I see new businesses opening. Another thing that I started establishing was an illumination program, where all the overhangs have to be illuminated and more lighting and all that, because that provides a sense of security. And you as a police officer, you know that it provides.
but the lighting is key. And
That's
I
right.
I was speaking to your staff earlier, and lighting is
That was-
paramount.
that was the
when
first
it
thing.
comes to whether you're walking, because you specifically said walking, and that's important, because that lack of lighting is what brings in and harbors criminal elements.
Oh, yes,
that,
yes.
that is key. Absolutely. And I know besides the lighting, I know you're big about the drainage system.
Oh, well, that's citywide. I had streets that the residents, they were praying that the Lord didn't send rain, because every time it rained, they couldn't get out of the houses.
That's key.
You
That's
see,
true.
they couldn't get out of the homes. So when we started, first thing that we did is we started this, instead of having a rotation of cleaning the drains every 3 years or 4 years, and I brought it down to 2 years. And now every time that before the raining season, I plead to Public Works to send the trucks, particularly to those hot spots that I know that they will get flooded.
That's awesome.
It's just like a downtown, like Flagler Street. I want to activate downtown, activate Flagler Street. I'm planning on bringing events there. Parks should be utilized. It is
Absolutely.
a place where neighbors meet neighbors, children meet children, and whatever event that I have in a park, it will take the child out of away from the computer, and they will go and run and make some new friends and enjoy themselves.
Just like old times' sake,
Oh,
right?
just like old times.
That's
You see.
great.
And that particular park that I saw you last Friday, that's another park that
It's a huge park.
But that
We're talking
park-
about West End Park.
West End Park, I have already the plans, I have the funds that I gather. And you see, when I talk about the funds, I don't only use the funds from the city of Miami. You see, I try to get as much as I can, but I also travel to Tallahassee and I plead for money for my district. And so far I've been very lucky. And that park, that particular park, is going to get a new pool, a new splash pool, and all the fields are going to be redone, new basketball courts, new tennis courts.
Well, then
You see-
guess what? We're going to have an open invitation so that you can talk to us, because we're almost out of time, about West End Park, per se.
Whenever you want. I could bring the renderings anytime. I have the renderings in my office.
That's awesome. I want to see them, but
And I'm also one thing that I want everybody to know. I am very much concerned and very much involved in providing affordable housing. Right now, I have a project that we are building. We're going to build 10 single-family homes.
what area?
In Flagami, Shenandoah, Little Havana, wherever I could get my hands on a lot, it's going to be affordable, real affordable,
Okay, so
Real
that's going to
affordable.
be a topic of conversation for us as well.
whenever you want.
It's thank you again for what you do in your district, and most definitely, I know we're gonna have other topics to talk about. We're gonna do this a little more often,
Well,
and
really,
definitely open invitation. I love to see what you're doing and learn about it so that we can share with the community. And I know you take being a public servant very serious, does as much as I do, and along with all the other elected officials. But District 4 is very dear to me. I used to be a neighborhood resource officer there. So,
Yes, I remember.
yeah, so I take it to heart.
I remember, and it is our duty. If you run for office, if you're elected, and you owe yourself to the people that are elected, and that's the main reason.
On behalf of the community and our communications team, thank you for having
Thank you for having me.
been a
here.
guest here today.
Thank you.